Hi, my name is Vidyaranya Maddi. People call me Maddi, and I've been with Aryaka for over 10 years now. I do understand that I'm standing in between the hunger and the lunch that's waiting outside. So I'll be crisp and clear, and I know all through the first half of the day we've been talking about digital transformation, right? And digital transformation by itself is a little bit of overloaded term, right? I mean, enterprise transformation, business transformation. We also heard Ms. Shilpa talk about, we need cultural transformation before we even talk about digital transformation. So everyone have their own perspective, and so do we have. I'm just trying to see if I can get the technology to work here. Can we get the slides up, please? So I'll talk about a little bit of Aryaka, right? Aryaka is a startup venture capital funded company which we started around 12 years ago. We are into a unified SASE business, right? We offer our product and technology as a service. We started off as a connectivity-based WAN optimization as a service kind of a company, and over the years have evolved into adding not only connectivity but also security into the paradigm of aspects that we offer. Sorry for the glitch. Before, while we wait for the slides to come up, I would like to poll for a few questions. How many of you heard of the term SASE? That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Not bad. SASE stands for Secure Access Service Edge. This is a fancy term that's coined by Gartner more than anyone else, right? And what it essentially means is that from a digital transformation perspective, from an era of, coming from a heavily MPLS-driven era, right, coming into an environment where networking and security are more or less converging, right? And that's what Gartner calls it, saying that, hey, secure access and a services edge which is delivered in the form of a service, right? That's what Aryaka does, right? I know a lot of cryptic terms, and a lot is changing, and I do think that Gartner from last year to this year have already changed it and split into SD-WAN and SSE. So they've made it into two different portfolios now, but nevertheless, we do deliver SASE, right? How many of you heard of SD-WAN? Quite I think a good 20–30% of the audience is very happy to see that. But I'm sure when I say that, hey, how many of you heard of MPLS or have been consuming some part of MPLS today? I'm sure a lot of them would raise their hands. And that's because MPLS as a technology has been there around for quite some time, right? So what do? We actually have transformed the entire legacy infrastructure into a much more controlled and manageable infrastructure. See, what has happened over the last 10–15 years is that more and more dependency on internet has become a critical part of any business, right? You have your applications that are on-prem in data centers moving into the cloud. You have abilities to consume applications in a SaaS manner. Oh, excellent. My slides have come up, right? So if you really look at it, the last decade has seen a convergence era to be evolved, right? And what it essentially means is that you migrated from MPLS to an SD-WAN kind of an environment, right? Application performance became more and more important because now you are relying on a cheaper shared internet kind of a media, right? And that's where application performance was critical, and that's where we've seen companies like Riverbed and Silver Peak actually come up with their product lines. And of course, the emergence of multi-cloud connectivity became very, very critical with Azure and AWS and a lot of SaaS applications readily consumable from the internet. And of course, the pandemic has taught us the importance of hybrid workplaces, right? No more offices. The lines between, your enterprise device versus bring your own device, BYODs, the lines between sitting in a a corporate environment to a personal environment, right, has blurred so much so that you need to be able to provide the same level of user experience and connectivity irrespective of where your users are. Right, and that's what we call the convergence era, where all of these things are coming together. And the biggest and the toughest challenge that the CIOs are faced with is, hey, how do I give an unparalleled user experience without compromising on the security? So what are our 5 principles of unified SASE? Right, as I said, the first and foremost critical aspect is to make sure that the user experience is not compromised. Right? Be able to deliver the service irrespective of where your workloads are and where your users are coming from. Either the user is coming from a remote access site and accessing content, or your workloads which are in the data centers or a private cloud or a SaaS one kind of a thing, without compromising on the security. Right? And how do you actually enforce your policies? Right? And that's where we've actually heard Sneha talk about trust. Trust becomes extremely critical. How do you ensure that the users that are coming in, and how can you enforce the policies at different paths on the path without the user experience itself being compromised? Right? Single pass. This is a critical piece. One of the challenges that as you evolve is that when you bring in multiple different boxes together and you try to stitch them together, your performance takes a massive hit. Right? And when you move your applications from on-prem to the cloud, it's all the more the next level of problems that we are actually facing. Right? How do you make sure that you do not run your traffic and your users through multiple layers of devices in an attempt to go ahead and ensure that the security is not compromised? That's why single pass becomes a little critical. I have a slide that talks about it. Right? And the last and very critical piece, which is very close to every CIO's heart, which is the KPIs, observability, visibility. How do I know in a transparent manner that I can verify and validate how my user experience have been, how my applications are behaving? How do I ensure that access, unrestricted access are being blocked? Right? That's where observability plays a very critical role, and that's where we've solved with a unified observability platform. We actually approach SASE in a manner what we called as Zero-Trust WAN. Right? I'm sure a lot of you would have heard of Zero-Trust network access. Right? Works really well as long as you are in a single local network environment. But when you talk about actually having users coming, partners coming, your vendors coming from a lot of different places, how do you ensure that you deliver a Zero-Trust WAN? So we actually went ahead and started this company with the option of building an SD-WAN as a service. We've added WAN optimization capabilities. We added some bandwidth aggregation capabilities, brought in application visibilities, right? And we top it off all with a last mile management service, which is all delivered in a fully managed service or a co-managed service. Now, while all of this is being addressed from a connectivity perspective, we actually have a bunch of capabilities that we deliver natively as well as with a partner infrastructure from a security perspective. Security is a big space, right? Thinking that one organization is going to solve all of it is not possible. So what is critical is to be able to create a network platform and an infrastructure which will allow you to deliver security in a very much more native manner, right? This is the story that I always tell, right? Apple is not successful because of the greatest phone that they have built. Apple is successful because of the eco-store, the app store that they have created, the ecosystem that they have created, allowing for developers to build apps that can be consumed natively on the phones. And of course, that has revolutionized the entire smartphone industry as we know it. A similar structure is what we are creating, where we are bringing in native security capabilities, at the same time are also willing to partner with security vendors to bring it natively into the platform that we built, which we are really proud of. So you might ask, what does this platform look like? Right? Just to give you a quick sneak peek, what is a Zero-Trust WAN? You have your users, either coming remote users or from your headquarters or your branches. And you have your workloads. The workloads might be on the internet, or a SaaS application running in your private data centers or running in the public clouds, right? What do? We actually have 40 different global POPs that are spread across the world. And each and every POP has a stack, which is a combination of networking, optimization, and security stack, and where we actually bring in a lot more of security applications on top of it. And what it means is that your traffic, your branches, and your workloads experience a LAN-like performance irrespective of where they are. I know we talked about single pass architecture and why it is important. Thanks to globalization, thanks to the internet revolution, you have your branches that are spread across the world, right? Having a security policy, I'm sure one of the CIO's nightmare is that one firewall policy that is missed on some device opens up for a ransomware attack that spreads quickly across your entire network. And that's why it's important to be able to go ahead and have a single management plane which allows you to define your policies and push those policies in a global manner, right? We also have a unified control plane which actually allows you to look at your network performance, your visibility into what is happening to your applications, right? What is happening to your users and what kind of experience they are running into, and followed by a distributed data plane, which actually allows us to deliver in a very seamless manner, irrespective of where the users are, right? We do have a device called ANAP device, which sits at every branch and can run the full stack of connectivity, routing, optimization, security. We also have an equivalent in a multi-tenant model sitting in our POPs, in a hyperscale POPs, where we provide the same capabilities. So if the user is coming from a remote access kind of a client solution, connects to us, bingo, no issues. Or if they're coming, sitting behind a branch, still a same user experience. This is our global network. As I said, we have 40 hyperscale POPs that are running our software stack that is ground up built with both visibility and connectivity. And each and every POP are connected to the other POPs in a full mesh environment with a very deterministic L2 point-to-point connections. So we are no longer relying on an internet, and that allows us to give a very predictable performance to our customers, right? So that's the network that we have. We also have an overlaying L3 arch network, which allows our customers to come into our infrastructure, and that's how we deliver the service. Of course, on top of it, one of the questions that I was actually talking to Rupa madam was actually asking me, hey, how about my services that are running on AWS and Azure? What is the biggest problem that CIOs run into today is the fact that there is a tipping point where your cloud expenses surpass what you thought would actually benefit you, right? And that is because a lot of these cloud providers today charge you on the amount of GB of data that is consumed over the public internet or over their internal network itself, right? But with Aryaka, we really do not charge you like that. We actually have direct connections, express out connections into the Azures, the AWS, the Oracles, and the Alibabas of the world. And we actually give it in a full mesh environment to all of your branches. We also have connectivity into SaaS applications, some of them that have listed here. Again, if you want to understand what other SaaS applications that we natively accelerate, we have a booth Aryaka here. Please stop by, and happy to give you more details. We also accelerate UCaaS. So when I talk about security, when we talk about application acceleration, we are not only talking about TCP-based applications, UDP as well, right? And we also provide connectivity to private cloud via our direct connect interconnect architecture that we've created. So to top it off, while we've created so much technology, and we've actually served more than 600 odd customers right now, we also provide all of this in a managed offering. So what does it mean? You really don't have to worry about any CapEx cost. Everything is an OpEx cost. We deliver it in a simple SaaS model. We do also provide interoperability from a managed security perspective to some of your native security platforms. We understand that security is very close to the hearts of our CIOs and CISOs, and for that reason, they probably do not want to move away from some of the well-known brands. That's where we actually come and say that, hey, we will provide managed offering. If any of the cloud securities that you're using, the Zscalers of the world or the Palo Alto Prismas, we also provide secure remote access for all of your remote users, which means that we actually have VPN gateways that sit in our POPs, and we deliver it as a service, right? And of course, secure web gateways for any public internet traffic that's going on. One of the important aspects that we talked about is visibility, right? Having that deterministic control and visibility. Don't want to, we do have technologies, of course, AI, ML, but we do a lot of stuff from a predictive analytics perspective. One of the advantages that we have is because today we have more than, 3,000 last mile circuits, 2,000 sites that are connected over Aryaka. One of the advantages that we get is we get to see a lot of data traffic flow, right? Being able to run predictive analytics on it and giving visibilities to the customers is priceless. Today we are able to detect and identify, unwanted access from engineering machine accessing some services on the financial desktops. Our predictive analytics engine will be able to identify and determine and call it out because we have security that is ingrained, built into the network itself, right? You have complete control and visibility into all of your traffic, your users, their experience, the amount of optimization, and have utmost controls at a centralized level, although your security itself is completely distributed. Just a snapshot of what the visibility and the control that we offer. So what does this mean, right? Of course, our approach is definitely turning heads, right? We are probably only one of the unified SASE platforms that exists there, which is called out by Dell'Oro Group. We are also Gartner Peer Insights for the last 4 years now, recognized by the voice of our customers. Very happy and very proud of some of those accomplishments. What does it mean to the CIO? What does it benefit, right? LAN-like application performance, irrespective of where your user base is. That is killer. That is critical, right? Less of an operation burden because of the fact that all of it is offered in a managed services. More robust and operational security. One throat to choke, that's what we call it, right? I mean, your internet access is given by us, your connectivity is given by us, your security is given by us, right? So what does it mean? If there's a problem, you have one throat to choke. Not to mention a single bill to pay also, right? You really don't have to worry about dealing with multiple vendors, right? Better integration between different SASE components, and more importantly, the consistent SLAs that we are able to offer. We are able to offer 5 lines of SLAs of our entire core infrastructure, right? And this becomes extremely important when you actually run your mission critical data center and manufacturing applications over Aryaka. This is some of our customer feedback in terms of the value that we've been delivering to our customers, right? We were able to cut down the digital transformation project timeline for pilot flight services from 3 years to 1.5 years, right? Improve user experience. Quotes, I'm sure a lot of you would have heard actually, right? We were actually able to go ahead and get their machinery connectivity and data sync all the way to their supply chain. So it allows them to actually be able to run their plant 24/7 without any disruptions because, the supply chain dictates and decides, what level of manufacturing outputs that they should be generating. Darling ingredients, right? They are into garbage recycling. And we all know where the garbage recycling plants will be, right? They are outside of the cities. Imagine the toughest thing is how do I solve the connectivity problem? How do I get internet access? How do I make sure that my operations are not affected? 100% availability. Element Solutions, I think, is a company that actually has split into 2 different companies. One is UPL, again, United Phosphorus Limited is an India-based company now, right? We were actually able to significantly help their demerger go through. Right, World Fuel Services again is into airline and cargo shipment fuel services. Hard places to reach, but we've solved it for them. So what are we again? One of the questions that comes up is, hey, how big are you guys? Are you going to be around a year from now if I really come and try to look at your services, right? So we have a global footprint, 450 odd employees. We have offices across the world right now. Of course, major presence headquartered out of Silicon Valley in the Bay Area, and with an R&D center and a massive NOC and SOC setup inside Bangalore, right? 600 plus customers. I think more importantly, we've raised 184 in capital money, revenue of more than $100 million in annual recurring. And I think one thing that we've seen is, post-pandemic, we see that the need for a service like Aryaka and SASE has shot up, right? So these are some of our India-based customers. I would like to pause here and open up for any questions. I know I'm probably a couple of minutes beyond time. Any questions? Thank you for giving me an opportunity, and look forward to meeting you guys and explore.